Right. So those who just jumped on there, we're going through the 2.2 update. As I said, which is going to be rolled out this weekend, as you probably see on Monday mornings. It's one of our biggest updates to date. In that, yeah, it's been a long while in development. And inevitably with these things, you try and squeeze in an extra update. Oh, just squeeze this one in. And it's meant to be actually going out last weekend, but it's ended up going out this weekend to that reason, trying to squeeze in some last minute updates. So I'm going to start by the biggest one, which you're definitely going to see and experience and use, which is the Create Opportunities page. Okay, so when I go to Opportunities and Providers, down to the Create Opportunity page, at the moment, all looks relatively similar. There is the option on here to go back to the old version. So if you already got confused using this, you could click on that and that will take you back to the old version, but that won't be there for long. Okay, so don't rely on it. You need to get yourself used to the new version. I think your providers are going to find it much easier to actually create these opportunities using the new format. It does ask the same questions. There's no kind of there's nothing in there which you wouldn't expect. It's just the way that we've set them out into basically like slides essentially. So it should be a lot more easy rather than seeing just a huge page with 100 options on like we had before. So the first question it asks you is obviously what providers is for, and that's the same as it was before. Then you've got your opportunity name. Then you've got your opportunity description, benefits and skills, category, and then your search tags down the bottom here, wherever they're going to be. Okay, so always pretty straightforward. These might have been, I think these are in a slightly different order on the old page, but grouped them together. So just tell us about your opportunity. Then they click on the next button down here. And it scrolls to the next one. Then they say, okay, choose your opportunity image. So you click on your file, choose an image. There we go. And you can also choose your opportunity badges. Okay, so does anyone know what an opportunity badge is? All right, I'm gonna pick on someone now. I'm gonna pick on someone. Flora, what do you reckon an opportunity badge is?
I don't really know, but I'm going to guess. It's an opportunity that, kind of qualifies to have a badge that, that might be kind of beneficial for someone who's doing like a Duke of Edinburgh or someone who has disabilities or something. So it's marking it with something.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. I mean, you could say, it's just a way. So when the volunteer is scrolling through these opportunities, show you. I'm going to come onto this in a bit, but I might as well quickly show you now. When the volunteer is scrolling through the opportunities like this, if they're looking for someone that's Duke of Edinburgh award, rather than having to click into each opportunity, that's actually the opportunity name there. It's test system, like I said. But without having to click into the opportunity and seeing whether it can go towards the Duke of Edinburgh award, they can scroll down and you can create an opportunity badge there, which is a DofE one, I think, that one. Which means they just know instantly without having to go into the opportunity, oh, that's suitable for DofE. Now, it doesn't have to be DofE. It doesn't have to be about disabilities, but it could be literally anything you want, anything you think that your volunteer cohort would be interested in seeing at a glance when they're scrolling through the opportunities. Okay. So the ones on this test system, which probably covers a lot of them, are Duke of Edinburgh award. Spare me a sec. Someone's trying to get in. The ones on the system are Duke of Edinburgh award, suitable for people with disability, suitable for visually impaired, suitable for hard of hearing, Welsh language, and tempo time credits, like a time credit system. So it might give you some ideas of things. You don't have to create any. It's not mandatory, but have a think about your volunteer cohort and what things they might want to identify opportunities by quickly.
And Steve, where do we set the badges? You said that they're customizable, did you?
Yeah, I'm actually going to come on to badges in a bit. I just happened to be, because on this slide I started talking about them. So,
okay.
Yeah, I'll come on and show you how to set them up shortly.
Is it possible to have multiple badges on one opportunity?
Yep, you can have as many as you want on
okay.
opportunity. Yeah. So next we go to next slide, creating the opportunity is the location. Now this has changed. Okay. So you essentially got two options now. You either do an opportunity at home or they do it at a location outside of their home. Okay, now home is pretty straightforward. Obviously click on that and it's going to look at the postcode where the volunteer lives, and then it's going to, look at the Whether the volunteer lives, that's essentially, you know, where they're going to do the opportunity. I don't have to explain that anymore, I suppose. With the pick location, this has changed now. So the way it works, you use a thing called Google locations. And when you type in, for example, a postcode, M332FB, it's my old code address, it comes up and it puts the little arrow in there, which is fine. But then you say, well, what about if it's across an area? Because that used to be one of the options in the old Create Opportunities page. You know, it's an opportunity which is across a wide area. Well, you can do it all from the same area. So if I put in Manchester here, okay, see, it comes up there and it says you've selected a large area for this opportunity location, which have been indicated on the map. And it shows this kind of like a faded out kind of circle. So it's basically trying to show you that this is not the exact location here. It's across an area, but this is the center of the area that's going to be across. And that gets reflected on the volunteer's side. Okay, so the volunteer knows not to come to this exact location, but you're going to discuss it with them because it's around that area. If that makes sense. Okay. If I put an exact location, like I said before, parents' old address comes up. It doesn't show that faded bit. It just comes up with the exact location there. I'm going to let somebody in the meeting, bear me a second. Okay.
Steve, can you move the pin around if it's not quite in the right place?
You can't on this one, but it's something I've had a chat. I've raised this, so I'm going to try and see if they can do that, because I know sometimes around the parks and this, that, and the other, you want to be able to move that pen and drop it in the middle of a park.
Yeah,
so it's
definitely.
something I've raised with them. So I'll make sure that's sorted. I'm not sure about the limitations of this particular map, like I say, but I know a lot of people will want that, so sort it out. Next is the how do you want to manage your volunteers? So this is a different page as well. So you've got create a self-managed opportunity, which essentially means this is for the providers who just say, look, you know, I just want to know if people are interested. I'm going to talk to them on a one-to-one basis, email them or phone them up or whatever it is. But I'm not going to do it through the system. I'm just essentially want to promote my opportunity within the system. And ideally, we'd want everyone to, you know, create a fully managed opportunity, you know, where they manage all the volunteers via the system. But that's not always the case. Sometimes you know, they don't want to create the fully managed opportunity. Sometimes they have their own system. So maybe it's like it's like Bernardo's or Macmillan's or something like that, who might have their own volunteer system, but they still want to utilize your volunteer cohort. So to do that, they can just create a self-managed opportunity, which literally just asks, what's the name of your organization? Okay, and they would put in, it would default to the name of them as a provider, but they'd put in Macmillan, whatever it is. They'd advertise until this date, and optional, they can put in the web address for their actual opportunity on their own volunteer system, if that's how they want to do it. Other than that, if they don't do this, then all they're going to see is, like you say, the very basic information on volunteers. It's like a really stripped down version of the opportunities page. Okay, but most of you are going to use this create fully managed opportunity. It takes you on to all of the normal options. Is a role required? Is it apply first? Not. Ask for experience, references, customize email. Okay, so this is about the opportunity application process. What happens when the volunteers apply, try to get on the opportunity? Is there any extra hurdles that they have to go through? Okay. And next we got, do you want to allow everyone access to your opportunity? Yes or no? This is quite a good one, because we look at the data, the vast majority say, yes, I want as many volunteers as possible to get on this opportunity. In which case, rather than bamboozling them with lots of different restrictions, they can just say, yeah, I do. And that's it. It just says, it ignores all those restrictions and says, well, I'll set them all to open, essentially, to allow anybody on this opportunity. If they say no, then they'll be bamboozled with the restriction options down here they can choose from. Are expenses payable? Self-explanatory. Remember, we've got the, if you say yes to it, then you've got the managed expense option in here. For those of you who don't know, the managed expense allows basically your volunteers to upload their receipts for expense claims, and you can manage all the expenses within your expenses screen down here. So it allows volunteers who are on an opportunity to say, okay, I need I spent £4 on a bus fare. Here's the receipt. Here's my bus fare receipt. And it even asked them to put in their sort code and account number, which then is visible to you as the admin, or you could send to your finance department to make the payment.
Steve, is there an option to add another form on there? It's just that we use an expenses form and they have to attach the receipt. So ideally, if our form could be uploaded there and they could put both of those items on, that would be ideal. Because just
I mean,
is not good enough.
You can add files to. I mean, the way you do that is you can add files to an opportunity, and you can allow volunteers to upload files to an opportunity. So you can add a file to the opportunity, which is your expense form, and then allow the volunteers to upload it onto the opportunity. No,
we'd have to go through every opportunity and upload that file.
You would, yeah, for all the ones that you, unless you copy.
We do it for all of them, so yeah. No, for everything we couldn't do that. For it's just not feasible. Okay.
Okay. I'll have a think about that. Leave that on me. I'll have a think.
I just have another question. You know, the self-managed opportunity that you were just talking about. Is it possible to switch that option off or not?
Yes, I believe it is actually. I believe it is. I'll have a chat with the developer. I don't know off the top of my head. But,
and if they go on that one by accident, can they switch it to a fully managed? Because we don't want anybody on that self-managed just because of the way our system works. And that would be a little bit of a disaster.
I don't know about the second. I'm pretty sure the first one is yes. The answer to the first bit is yes, that you could switch it off. The second one, I'm not sure.
Okay.
So let me find out. I don't want to give you any duff information to find out.
Thanks.
Good question there. Okay. So we've got promoting and sharing. These are the options that you saw before. You know, hide it from the search results, pin it to the top of the search pages, share the opportunity with a link-wide network. Then we've got opportunity documents. Do you want to upload a document like an expenses form to the opportunity? And the next one is, do you want to allow, or post opportunity, do you want to allow volunteers to be able to upload files back onto the opportunity? So this could be a completed health and safety form or completed expense form, or a really common one I see now is photos, volunteers uploading photos that they took on the day. Now you have to keep in mind the only people who can see the files that the volunteers upload is the volunteer themselves and the provider of that opportunity. Okay, and obviously admins, because you can see and do everything. So it's not like other volunteers can see what they've uploaded. Makes sense. So if they do upload photos, you've got the ability to kind of look at it and decide whether it is suitable. Maybe use it for your marketing. Maybe use it as an image for your next opportunity you're creating. You can do that there.
Where would we see those documents that they uploaded there, Steve?
When you go to I'll come and show you in a second. I'm just going to finish this one off this last screen here. Then I'll show you. So so the last slide is whether it's a flexible or individual sessions. I don't think I have to explain that. And then you would click on if it's a session-based one here, add the recurring sessions. Create the opportunity, and that would create the opportunity. You'd authorize it, and now it's live on the system. Now go back. So that's the whole create opportunity process. Is there any questions around what the slides I've just been through there before no. Okay. Well, in answer to your question, when you create an opportunity where they can upload files to, if you go into the opportunity, one of these here, and on the left-hand side, you've got uploaded docs. See that one there? Uploaded documents. So that's where, when you click on it, that's where you'd see the files, and it will say the name of the volunteers uploaded it, and I think it says the date as well. Okay, so that's where you'd see the uploaded files. And downloadable documents, that's obviously your expenses form, what you want them to be able to download, essentially.
So do you get a notification if somebody's uploaded any documents, or is it a matter of having to go into each opportunity and see if anybody's uploaded any documents?
The provider gets an email when a volunteer uploads. The provider, you know, it's related to the opportunity, so it's always a provider. So the provider gets an email, yeah. Okay.
Okay.
Is that okay? Does that work for you? You're the provider. You must be.
No, it doesn't, because we have other providers, but UOM Sport would pay the expense, so we'd want the expenses detail, not the provider.
I'm with you.
Sorry, I always cause an issue. Don't worry.
And no, it's all right. It's all right. It's always food for thought for me. Thinking, well, you know,
It's just if we're going to use it, I mean, it's a great. It just seems like a great thing to be able to use. And if we're going to use it, we want to use it on all opportunities, not just some. But it might be that we just use it on the internal ones for now.
yeah,
But
yeah,
just if I thought if we could keep all of that in one place, that would be great.
yeah. Let me have a think about it. I mean, it's not such a massive thing to kind of add the ability for. So what we're saying is add the ability for admins to receive an email when a volunteer has uploaded a file to an opportunity. That's what you're asking for, is it? Am I right?
Yep.
Yep. Okay. Uploads file. I'll find out. If we can squeeze something
Steve,
like
can
that
I
in.
ask, is the downloadable docs, is that where the volunteer loads up, you know, forms like expenses receipts for the admins to download, or is it the other way around?
So there's two here. There's uploaded docs and there's downloadable docs. So downloadable docs is files that you are sharing with the volunteer, and uploaded docs are files that the volunteer has uploaded to share with you.
Okay.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
So the downloadable docs might be a health and safety form you want them to complete. You click on uploaded docs and you see a list of all the completed health and safety forms that the volunteers have uploaded. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Okay, good. Right. Next, we're going on to a link-wide options. So,
Sorry, Stu, before you go on, is there anything that's been taken out of that process that we need to be aware of?
the create opportunities.
Yeah.
No, it's all there, exactly the same.
So the categories, are they still in there?
Yep, they were still in there. Yeah.
Fab.
Actually, it was my task the other week to go through and pick them all off and make sure, but they are all in there. Yeah.
Thanks.
Yep. No worries. Link-wide groups. So some of you are thinking, what on earth is a link-wide group, Steve? A link-wide group is essentially you can group yourself up with other systems, okay, which means you can share opportunities with other systems. If you want to see other systems in your area, you can go to opportunities and providers, and you can go down to shared opportunities, and it will say like you are not currently in a group. If you're not, and if you're probably not aware what a link-wide group is, you're probably not in a group. But it says these are other organizations in your area. So feel free to kind of, obviously you'd have to speak to that administrator of that system and see if they're interested. But as long as we receive an email off both parties saying, yes, they want to be linked together, then we can set that link up for you. And it takes us a couple of minutes to do it. Okay. Now, in terms of the ability, we've had this before, this functionality. This is not new. This has been around since the last update. I think it was an update before maybe. But it's the ability now to link yourself to multiple groups. Okay, so let me explain that in a bit more detail. Okay, so if you have a system here, Manchester City Council, and they want to, you've got MMU Sport, which is MMU University, and they create their own opportunities, but they also want Manchester City Council's opportunities or sports opportunities being shared on their system. So what happens is they create they link themselves to this sports group here, and the City Council links themselves to the sports group. But there's two things when it comes to linking yourself to a link-wide group. So this is the link-wide group here. There's two things you have to keep in mind. One of them is you have to be linked to it, and the second one is what is the type of link? Is it an inbound or an outbound or both? Okay, you're probably thinking, what on earth does that mean? Well, this one here is from Manchester City Council. They're linked to this group, and theirs is outbound only, which means when they create opportunities, they will appear in this group for other systems to be able to, to show on there. So, anyone else in that group could basically, if they were linked to it, they'll be able to see these opportunities appear on their system for their volunteers to see. Okay, so that's really simple one here. City Council, linked to a group. MMU is linked to a group. But from the City Council, it's an outbound link. So opportunities that City Council share will appear in this group. But from MMU, it's only an inbound link, which means that the opportunities that they share, they can't share opportunities with the group, essentially. They haven't got that switched on. They've only got inbound, which means that only opportunities that are being shared by the City Council will appear on their system and not the other way around. Does that make sense? Does anyone not understand what I just explained there? Good. Okay, it's progressively more complex now, the setups, because it can get
Steve,
really.
Sorry, is that linking? Did you say that's already set up, or is that a new thing? And which menu drop down is it on?
No, you have to, you request it. So what you do when you're in the system, if you want to see what systems are in your area, you go to opportunities and providers down to shared opportunities, and you see this page here where you can see the distances there of all the other systems in the area. Okay, now if you.
All right, so I've just got it in a list at the moment. Is that the new version where it appears in boxes, or does it just depend where you are?
I think it must be the new version. It's appeared in boxes like this. I can't remember what the old version looks like.
So is it that I'm already linked to those, because I'm not getting an option to link up?
Does yours say you are not currently in a link wide group at the top?
No, it says these organisations are part of your link wide network.
That's why yours in a list, and so you are in a link wide group.
So somebody's already added me to that, whether I wanted to be in it or not. I mean, it's fine because I want to be in it.
No, someone at some stage has agreed from your end to be added to that group. It's not. We have to.
It must have been historical. Yeah, no, I must have. It will have been. That's who we want to be. It's fine, but we can't find any other ones in my area, or is there no others in my area that exist? Because there's only 3 on there.
Oh no, they're the ones. Once you've actually linked up with somebody, it will just show you he's a people that you've linked up to. It's a good point actually. Maybe we should keep both. Maybe we should say this is your current network and these are other ones in your area.
Steve, could this kind of system be applied to linking in with something like Do It or Team London?
We have been linked to Do It before in the past, and they did it for a few years, but then they stopped doing that for whatever reason. They pulled not just with us, plugging it right across the board. But we are linked also through to Volunteer Scotland, their system. Which are the systems we got? We've got our national system, tryvolunteering.com. You can be linked to that. So yeah, we have links with other systems, like national systems, which are done in a similar kind of way. But this link-wide network is not specifically about linking to national systems. It's about linking with just other TeamKinetic customers who may, you think, well, actually I'd benefit if their opportunities appear in my system or mine appeared on their system.
Okay.
But there has to be an agreement. Okay, so back to the slide here. So we're showing we've got the City Council there sharing opportunities with a link-wide network. So literally imagine like a list of opportunities that appear in a table, and then MMU have been linked to it, and they've said, okay, we want to show not just our own opportunities, but also include opportunities which have been shared on this link-wide network. So MMU would see their own opportunities plus these ones that have been shared by Manchester City Council. So that's the most basic type of setup. Then you could say, well, what happens if there's 2 systems that want to receive those opportunities? Well, it works exactly the same way. Manchester City Council is sharing the same 3 opportunities with a link-wide network. They're sitting like its own little table there. And then these 2 systems have said, okay, well, we want to include not just our own opportunities, but also add the opportunities in there from the link-wide network, which means these 3 opportunities would appear on both those systems as well as their own. Okay, still quite simple because of the way the inbound and outbound are quite simple at the moment. Then we go to the next level. It looks a lot more complicated now, doesn't it? The next level, where you've got the City Council says, okay, I'm sharing these opportunities, the same 3 opportunities. Brilliant. Which means on the City Council's website, they see their own opportunities, their opportunities, essentially. But what we also have is we have outbound. So this is saying the opportunities that the City Council is sharing, it gets shared to 2 groups. One of them is a group called Volunteer Centre, and one of them is a group called MCR Sports. So those 3 opportunities that were created on the Manchester City Council system are now been added to both of those tables, both of those link-wide groups, which means that any customers who are linked to that group, they can, if they want to, if they set it up, they can allow these opportunities will be visible on their system as well, and the same over here. Okay, which means, and the final one, is when you're having 2-way links. So this is where you've got not just Manchester City Council that are sharing opportunities, but you've also got Manchester Volunteer Centre who's sharing their own opportunities, which means they're all getting shared. Both the City Council and the Volunteer Centre are sharing their opportunities into the Manchester group, link-wide group, which means all of those opportunities are sat there. And if they're being shared outwards both ways, it means that both the volunteer centre and the city council will see their own opportunities plus all of these additional opportunities which have been shared in the link-wide group. Okay. So you can imagine how it can get quite complex. I don't want to go in any deeper than this, but you can see how it can get quite complex as soon as you have inbound and outbound. But the key thing to understand is if you join a link-wide group, then you can share opportunities with that group, or you can make opportunities within that group visible on your system. So it's either outbound or it's inbound, or both.
Can we, so if we told you what our local volunteer centre is, can we then you know, share our opportunities with our local volunteer centre?
Yeah, you could, yeah. So all we need is an email. So you just speak to your local volunteer centre. If they have a TeamKinetic system, obviously they both need a TeamKinetic system for the API to work. So yeah, anyone with a TeamKinetic system, you just, as long as we get an email off both people saying, prior to saying yes, we'd like to be linked together. And first of all, do you want to be linked together? And the second thing is it inbound or outbound? And what I mean by that is, if you take the example of the universities will say, well, all opportunities that I create as a university, I don't want that to appear on the city council system, because they're only for our students. But the city council, but they'll also say, as a university, I want the city council's opportunities to appear for my students. So theirs is like a one-way share. You know what I mean? They're dragging opportunities out from the city council and showing it on their university system, but they don't want their ones that they create on the university system to be shared out the other way.
Yeah.
Obvious reasons. Yeah. So it's, do you want to be shared, and is it inbound or outbound? They're the two things that we set up when we break these links.
Okay.
Any other questions about link-wide networks? Good. Yeah, so go and have a look. If you're interested, go and have a look at your shared opportunities, see who's in your area. Someone else keeps joining. Spare me a second. Okay. So the next one is custom date fields. Now, this will be useful for the universities out there, but also for a number of other customers as well. So when you create custom fields, we go into the custom questions area here, you create a custom field, and say it's a registration field, and you might say, so you want to add an additional question onto the registration process, where you say, t-shirt size is the one I usually give. T-shirt size, no problem. You can add that in there, the volunteer will register, and the final question will be, what's your t-shirt size? And they'll get to select small, medium, or large, whatever it is. We've now got the ability for you to do date fields. So you could ask things like year of graduation. Yep. And that could be a date field. Okay. So I've already created this before, so I'm not going to create it again. So by adding that question in there, then it means obviously the volunteers are going to be required to enter in a date when they register. And you can also filter on these dates. So when you're searching for volunteers, you can say, look under your filters here. You can say, show me all volunteers where the date of graduation is equal to, I don't know, first of the first, 2023. Search on that. I think I've created one volunteer, yeah. And there's one opportunity who graduates on that date. And you probably wouldn't pick an exact date. You'd probably say who graduate, you know, after a certain date or before. I'm trying to work it out in my head which one around you do it. You know what I mean? It's a good way of you to be able to identify, okay, which volunteers have graduated. Okay, right, I need to disable them on the system. Okay,
I can't actually see the words on your screen, Steve, so forgive me, but it's one, it's all right, it's just, is that months and then a date? Or is,
yeah.
or is just, oh, sorry, no, it says before or after, I see.
Yeah, your equals to, after, before, or between the options.
All right, because they graduate in September and December, so you'd have to have two options. So that's fine. No, that's okay.
Yeah.
Obviously, I've been collecting this for years on a customizable question, so now I'd have to pull off another column in my reports until they run out, until they all graduate. But I'm glad it's there now.
It's there, yeah, it's there now. I know it's going to be an awkward year for you, isn't it, to do that?
More than a year, yeah, 4 years and 5 years maybe. Might have retired by then.
Yeah. You could probably think of lots of other uses as well for different customers, even if you're not a university, where you'd want to capture the date. And it's not just in the registration process, as you're probably aware, if you've created custom questions. It could be something you just hold against the volunteer's profile. So it's not a question that's asked them during the registration process, but it's a piece of information you hold against the volunteer within the system. Okay, and because you can filter on it, it becomes very useful. I'm trying to think, you can do it with, well, I don't know, you use your imagination, but there's plenty of uses, I'm sure. Right, next we've got new providers reports. So if I go to providers, I'm going to impersonate a provider now. Okay, so there's a few extra reports that they get. Providers now get a day schedule. So a day schedule report essentially tells you kind of what's happening in the next 7 days or between these 2 dates. Okay, regardless of covering all opportunities. We've also, does anyone here use a day schedule report as an admin? Yep, a few of you. Good. Well, providers now have access to it, so I think that'll be useful to quite a few providers. We've also got maps on there as well for the providers, so they can see just their opportunities on the system. And there's an opportunity on it. There we are. And they can click on that, and obviously if they want to find one with some volunteers on it, they can map their volunteer as well and see where the volunteer is, and they can click on that and it takes you to the volunteer's information. So providers can now do that as well. Opportunity badges. Here we go. Let's go back to my admin page. So we spoke about creating those opportunity badges that obviously you select, like Duke of Edinburgh Award, or suitable for people who are visually impaired, that kind of thing. To do that, if you go to the Super Admin menu to set up these badges, go to Setup, go to Opportunity Badges down here, and that's it. You just literally click on the Add button, put in the name, description, upload the image, and that's it. It's load down there already. If you like the ones that are on here, then I'd probably suggest you log into the beta site after this training, this short session, and you can copy those. Right click and copy the image, save the image. Okay, so that's how you create them, and to assign them onto the opportunity, you saw how to do that before. Okay, the next one is where the volunteers see them. I think I showed you this before, didn't I? Let me have a quick, just double check. Yeah, they see them here. I did show you that before. We're next got with the opportunities, maximum volunteers per session adjustments. So I've heard this before with some people saying, well, I've got an opportunity and it's got a load of sessions on it, but I want to adjust how many volunteers can get onto each specific session. Then it's not all the same. So you can kind of make these adjustments a bit easier now. So if we have an opportunity here, which is called there, so go to the sessions here. There's only one session, that's no good, is it? But from here, you could imagine if there's a load of sessions, you can click on the edit button next to each session and you could change the maximum volunteers for each individual session. You can also, if you think you've got it wrong, so actually I want to edit it for all sessions. So that's what this edit global is, which means you can change the maximum volunteers per session or the maximum sessions per volunteer and click save, and that's going to apply it to all sessions on that opportunity. Because before it was a very labor intensive, you'd have to go through each individual session and make that adjustment. We've also got a manage account button at the top here. So that little person appears in the top right hand corner. This is where you can log out or you can view your profile. Okay. This is probably, and you've got settings in there as well. So this is probably where you're going to see, I mentioned earlier on about kind of what areas you've been, what training you've had and this, that, and the other. Against each admin, so you can see what areas maybe you need to go on a training session for, which you might find useful. Automated emails, the next one. We've got 3 more left now. So automated emails, actually there's one I've just forgotten about. This is a big one. Smash screen. Automated emails. So we have new emails when the opportunity is ending email. So that's going to go out, which means that if I'm a provider and I've created an opportunity and it's about to end in 2 weeks' time or something like that, it will email me and say, by the way, this opportunity you created, it went on for a year and it's about to end, and you may want to extend the number of sessions in it, or you may want to extend the end of it's a flexible opportunity, the end date. They also get automated email about login hours. So if they don't log hours, they automatically get an email prompting them to log hours when we know they should have logged hours, if that makes sense. And also complete a survey email. So when you create an opportunity, you know, there's ability, some of you know, if you don't, there's ability to add a survey to that opportunity. When the volunteer is on the opportunity, it'll kind of go to log hours. It says, do you mind completing this short survey? And that's, you don't make the survey in the system, you'd probably do it in SurveyMonkey or Google Forms or something, but you're putting the link to the survey essentially within the opportunity. So when the volunteer joins the opportunity and goes to log hours, it prompts them to go and complete the survey. And they also get an automated email now reminding them to complete that survey if they're on the opportunity. Admin, yep.
Sorry. So there's the first one that you mentioned about they can send a reminder when opportunity is ending. That goes to the provider. Is there an option to send one to students when an opportunity sign up is about to end? There's an option, isn't there, when you create an opportunity to say a sign up deadline for joining. I can't remember what it's called.
Yeah.
Is there one that's attached to that? It's just that with our internal opportunities for sport leaders, we have a deadline. So like say it's next week, but the opportunity will carry on running, but there's a deadline for them to join it. So a reminder to say, oh no, because they wouldn't already be attached to it, so it wouldn't make it that. Ignore me. I'm talked myself out of it now.
Sorry,
everyone.
I realised at the same time as you then. I was like, that's a great idea. And I thought about it. I thought, no, it's not. For that reason, yeah. They would, I don't know how you'd know. You wouldn't know, would you, at that stage? So, yeah.
No, but we do have there is actually, I was talking sense because actually on it, we do have a deadline for them to have logged hours on it. So they have to have logged hours before Christmas for them then to be counted at the end of the year. So it would be a deadline to say, you haven't logged any, you've joined this opportunity, but you haven't logged any hours on it. Please be aware you have to have done that by the 14th of December.
Well, there's no I mean, it has, when we know that they should have logged hours on a particular opportunity, then there's a, like you say, there's a
That
new
second
automated
one.
email. But it's hard to say because, as you know, if it's a flexible opportunity, then we don't know whether they should or shouldn't. We're not going to be emailing them on the off chance that maybe they should have turned up for a session and they haven't logged hours.
Yeah, so it would have to be within.
We can only do it on the session based. We can only do it on the session based ones. Yeah, for that reason.
So you're saving me some work then.
No, sorry, I tried. It's not a limitation of the system. It's just however you did it on a piece of paper, you still be left with the same issues. Like, well, how do you know? How do you know if that person's actually turned up or should have turned up even? To log hours, to prompt them to log the hours, if that makes sense. The admin panel. So when you log in now, a few adjustments on.
Steve, sorry, could I just ask a question about
sure, of course you can.
emails? I don't know if this is possible, but basically, is there any way that we as providers or admins could get an automated email when volunteers reach a certain level of hours? Because for us, we give out uniform after 30 hours, and it's really hard to keep a track of when we should be giving that out because we've got, coordinators out on the ground, and it'd be so good if our central admin could just get so-and-so's reached 30 hours and then we can just crack on and give them their uniform, because we often
what I'm trying to do, there's a way you can do that. It's not in the way you explain, but it would work quite well, I think. When you go to setup and you go to achievement badges, okay, make sure that there's a level of badge on here which is 30 hours.
Yeah.
Okay. Which makes sense anyway. If that's like a key thing that they get a uniform, it makes sense that should be a level as well. Now, when you go down to your achievements, achievement badges here, you can see which people have reached each level.
Okay.
And most importantly, you have a little tick box on the right hand side, which could be your I've given them their uniform tick box.
Okay.
So then all you know you're doing is you're just looking, you're going to the level that you've decided that's when they should get the uniform, and seeing if there's anybody who hasn't got any names ticked. If they haven't, then you haven't given them the uniform.
Okay. Yeah.
That makes sense. Okie doke. Admin panel, that's what I was looking at. So on the admin, so by the way, if you are, I hear little pings, but if you've got your hand up, I can't actually see whether you've got your hand up. So just pipe up and just let me know if you've got any questions. Okay, so on this page here, the summary page, which is the first page you see when you log in, we've done some adjustments here. So we've basically been hiding the boxes if we know you don't use them. Say, for example, where you automatically give providers access when they register on the system, then we would hide this box because there's no point showing this box. And the same, if you automatically authorize opportunities, we would hide this box. So we started to kind of customize the layout of this page here, so you're only seeing information that's actually relevant to your system setup, how you use the system. We've also got what's happening, things happening today, an extra little panel in there, okay, which knows like opportunities, and a few different things will appear on there. Hints and tips, this yellow bar across the top, you're going to see these popping up. Now you can hide them if you want to. You can hide them forever, hide them for 30 days, or close the tip. You're going to see these, and it gives you little tips like this one here: create hour trade vouchers that volunteers can exchange for, say, free coffee. So little tips of things you maybe weren't aware that existed within the system. So that's a new feature there, and a big one, which I almost missed off, but I think a lot of you are going to find this very, very useful. Super admin setting, setup, new registration help page. This is a biggie. So when the volunteer registers, the first thing that appears is whatever you put into here as a little pop-up. If I change this now, save it. Okay, so we got some information there, some screenshots in there. Now I want to show you if I register as a volunteer now. I need to log out as a volunteer first. Not logged in, yeah, log out. So if I register as a volunteer now on that system, put in the volunteer's name. If I go to that email inbox, so I can, this is checking that's a real email address. Aware. Go to the email inbox, click on the link, put in the password, first name, the birth. How many times have I done this? Do this in my sleep sometimes. Ethnic origin, emergency contact details, postcode, address, date of graduation. That's that extra question that I've added in early on today, to be fair, but that's where you'd see it in there. Into receiving emails, read the T's and C's. No, so the next thing that happens that I'm trying to demonstrate to you. So when they click on the register button now, see the screen here? Google. Welcome to test Steve. That's what I put in, wasn't it, before? Okay, so this is like a welcome screen when they first register. Okay, and then when they close it down, it's fine, it disappears off. Thinking maybe there's a need for them to see that again at a later date. I'm not sure. I might have a chat with the developer and make that visible somewhere on here, so they can kind of bring it up again. But do you think any of you will utilize that feature?
Yes, I think I would.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, I think it's what we have as like
Nice.
an email set up already. So we
Yeah.
just use that instead, or as well as.
Yeah.
Because I probably have a chat with you a few years before, and we're kind of, well, the issue about what do they do when they register? Do they know what to do next? And quite clearly, some of them are saying, well, they're not sure. They're not sure what to do next. And there's a search button there, but are they aware that's a search for an opportunity? Are they aware of that? But then it's also different. Some of you say, well, when they registered, I wanted to do different things. Rather than just join an opportunity, there's other things. Maybe it's just we haven't even added any opportunities. I just need you to register at this stage here, and at a later date, we're going to be adding opportunities. But you can change that information now that they get, and there's no way they can avoid it, and they get soon at that point of registration. So please look at that, because it'll be switched on. So make sure you look at that and you alter that page before over the weekend, before the Monday, if you can.
Steve, is the data graduation new, and does everybody who registers have to put in their data graduation?
No, I added it early on as a custom field.
Okay.
I just just because I thought, Flo, there's people are going to be on here from the universities, so I was like, well, I'll just quickly demo that one. But
Okay.
yeah, it doesn't have to be data graduation; it could be any date.
That looks good.
Yeah. So, is there any questions over anything I've covered here today? No?
The only Steve, maybe this is something that I will contact your support team separately about, but I entered some customized questions into the registration because they're things that I need to report on.
Yeah.
But when I download the report from Download Reports, the data's not kind of lining up with the field. So perhaps that's just something that I sort of contact.
No, it was. I didn't mention it because it was like a small. We've probably made about 200 changes in the system, and that's one of them. It's on there now. So when you download the data on Monday, you'll see your custom fields will all appear in that downloaded data.
Okay.
Right, so,
Cool. Okay.
So yeah, that's quite an easy one. Glad you asked that one.
Steve,
Any more for any more, Claire?
one of the things that we were really keen to find out from a volunteer centre point of view was how many people had applied for opportunities in a period of time. Because not necessarily everybody goes into becoming a volunteer for a particular opportunity. So it's just useful from a volunteering centre point of view, obviously, to have that data. Now, I did mention it. I don't know whether it would be in this.
I'll find out. There is something in here. I glanced. I haven't looked at it, but there is something in here about applications reporting that I did notice. Reporting improvements. I did applicants for opportunities to reporting page. So you can see at a glance how many applicants are in each status. But I don't know. I don't know off the top of my head exactly what that covers. I'll find out for you, Claire. I'll find out.
I mean, I tend to use the search volunteers and filters function to get the kind of detail that you were talking about, in terms of those customizable questions. That's the way I've been able to kind of filter everything out previously. So having that in the all download data will be much improved for me. But yeah, that was something that was always missing, that particular thing.
So is it you want to know how long? So what question is it answering? Right.
So we every quarter we send a report into our local authority. These are the number of applications that have come through. Now it doesn't match obviously the number of volunteers that register because they may apply for a number of different opportunities.
Yeah.
So just knowing the number of opportunities or the number of applications that have been applied for.
Right, I'm with you.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, it does. Yeah. I don't see any reason why we couldn't add that in there if it doesn't exist. It kind of makes sense. I could see other people benefiting from that. So okay, leave that with me, Claire. I'll have a chat with the developer. If it's not in there, maybe we can squeeze it in for the next update. So number of applicants. Within period report. Okay. No worries. Any more? Any other questions? Jay, you look like you got a question.
No, I haven't got a question. I'm all right there.
Oh, yeah. Okay. No worries. All right. Well, if there's no more, thanks for your time, people. And please check that splash screen out. Make sure don't do anything else. Don't pass go. Don't click £200. Go to log into Super Admin and check on that splash screen and make sure you're happy with it. And have a play around with the beta site as well. You can log in on the beta site using your own normal admin login. So the beta site, I'll quickly put it on here so you can copy and paste it. It is here. So it's in the chat now. beta.teamkinetic.co.uk. That is the admin login screen there, /VK/admin, and then just put in your normal admin login details and be able to have a play around with the new system. And if there's no other questions, I love you and leave you.